Hey, this is Jen Gray, your host of Be Genuine with Jen podcast, where we discover how our authenticity is our superpower. I am so excited you've joined me for today's episode. Let's get started. What is up? Hey, friends. It is Jen Gray. It is so good to see you guys. And today is it's an extra special episode for lots and lots of reasons. But we are branching out to a new era of Be Genuine with Jen. I love getting to share my story, but what I'm super, super excited about is using this podcast to highlight other stories. So many amazing people that I'm connected to have chosen to live a life of authenticity. They have inspiring lives that I cannot wait to let them share their story and you be inspired by them as well. So today I am super excited to introduce you guys to a great friend, mentor, such a gift to my life, Paul Roberts. So hi, Paul.
Hey.
What's up? Welcome. I am so excited for today. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to take it in. I'm excited for people to get to know you and to hear who you are, what you do, and all of that. But first, before you get started, I want to introduce the world to you. I'm going to share a bio, and then we're going to jump on in. So friends, today we are diving into the inspiring journey of a business titan turned sober marathon running cold plunge enthusiast. Join us as we uncover the exhilarating story of Paul Roberts, a man who rewrote his life script to build a massive business, all while stepping into his true, genuine, authentic self. From battling addiction to conquering the business world, Paul's transformation is nothing short of remarkable. But perhaps most importantly, Paul's story teaches us the value of authenticity. By embracing his true self, flaws and all, he paves the way for others to do the same. In a world filled with masks and pretenses, Paul's authenticity is a breath of fresh air, inspiring us to live our lives unapologetically, because when you dare to be yourself, anything is possible. Come on now. There we go. So, Paul, before I give you the stage, I want to just tell everybody how we were connected. So it's funny. I was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they asked me the most shocking part of my story. And you know me, there's a lot of shocking parts to my story. But what I said is that I end up in insurance. And so Paul is the reason, you guys. This man is the sole reason why on earth my high school leading teaching self ever thought insurance might be a way to add value to people. But I knew a little bit about this man before I stepped foot in his office. But all I knew is he was successful. And I don't know about you guys as listeners, when you think of success and when you think of someone worth millions of dollars, I have a stereotype in my mind. I had an insurance stereotype and I had a multi-millionaire insurance person stereotype in my mind. But when I stepped foot into that rock star office, what I was met with was humility and was someone that believed in me, even when he first met me. And in a nutshell, said, if you're willing to bet on yourself, you could do really, really, really well here. And that was in 2021, I believe. And fast forward, here we are on a podcast, Be Genuine with Jen. And so, Paul, I would love for you to share your story from sobriety to success to everything in between. So thank you again so much, my friend, for being here.
Wow. Thank you. Your intro, didn't know we were going that way. So thank you. You touched my heart for sure. What a pleasure that we get this opportunity to do this today. I don't think we knew this back in 21 when we met each other, but a very special person walked into my office in 21, and you changed the course of our business, of our Rockstar office. You were there locally to the Rockstar office, and it was just when you walked in, we knew you walked in. Like when you walked in the office, you knew Jen was there. It wasn't like, has Jen showed up? Is Jen here? You knew it. It's not because you were loud and obnoxious. You just have this presence about yourself that's overwhelming in a great way. And you bring joy to so many people's hearts. And the crazy thing is you've brought so much joy to people's hearts when you've gone through, some of the worst times of your life. And so, in terms of my journey, I found insurance 20 years ago and found an incredible man by the name of Fitz, who taught me so much. And one thing he taught me, Jen, when I first started is like, hey, if you want to build a business here, please understand this business is going to cut you open and it's going to reveal the real you. And, 20 years later, looking back, um, that's really with so many other things, not just this business, but going into a marriage, going into so many things. And that business did tear me open and revealed the real me. And there were some things I hated. There were some things I liked. But it'll do things to you. And I say there's so many other things because, like, running a marathon, Jen, it revealed who I was. It opened you up. It scares the heck out of you. You train, and then you wake up one morning at 4 a.m. and you're freaked out, wondering, can I do it? I've signed up. And the panic sets in. And so much of life is that way. And I know it was for you when you came in, and I mean, you were very brutally honest, like, hey, I don't want to do insurance. And my response probably was the same it is to everybody, and it is, neither do I. I didn't think this is what I wanted to do, but here I am. We joined the insurance world, and I knew I wanted to build. I knew I was going to build something special. There was something inside of me where I said, hey, I want to do something great here. I was 34 years old at the time. And I just knew that my life was meant for something great. I have an incredible hero in my life. It's my mother. That woman, I watched her go through so much to get to where she is, to become who she has become. She went through college. She worked a job making $17,000 a year, raising 2 kids as a single mother. I don't know how she survived on such little income. And put herself through school. And I wasn't good at school. I was horrible at it. I can't stand it. I was a big disappointment to her when it came to that. And so, but Jen, she gave me a PhD in life. Like, I watched it unfold in front of my eyes. She said she was going to become a psychologist. She was going to open her own private practice, and she was going to help people. And I watched it, and it happened, right? And so I knew coming here, I knew coming into the insurance world 20 years ago that I was going to do something special because I watched her. I knew if I fought hard enough, I'd do it. And I did. I fought hard. Our 3rd year into the business, Tamara and I made $400,000. That was unheard of money for her and I at the time. It was ridiculous. We were like, are you kidding me? And, you said success earlier. What is success? What does it look like? What are your perception? And for most people around me, they thought I was successful. What they didn't know is I was dead inside. I was empty inside. I had nothing left in the tank. And the reason why is I was an alcoholic, and I was killing myself slowly, day by day, by day, just destroying my life. And it got to a point, and I'm not going to go through the whole story, but it got to a point to where I went to the ER January 9th of 2012. I had drinking. I'd been on like a 10-day drinking binge. I don't remember how long it was. It was horrible, and I don't eat during those binges. And go to the ER. They fix me. They take care of me. They actually discharged me that day. On my way home, I went to the alcohol store. No kidding. The very next day, January 10th, I was back in the ER. And it was a wake-up call for sure. But lo and behold, when you're stubborn and you have an addiction, that didn't stop me. I didn't quit drinking until May of that year, May 28th. I mean, almost June, for crying out loud. So I made it almost another 6 months of misery. But with anything in life, whether it's success or failing or trying to kill yourself with drugs and alcohol, it's a process, day by day by day by day by day. Where are you headed? You headed up, you headed down. But you don't wake up and say, hey, I'm going to go drink with some of my friends. I'm going to be an alcoholic and die. It's day by day you destroy yourself. Or day by day, you help yourself and you build yourself up. And they're small steps. They're little steps. And so fast forward to May 28th, 2012. I begged God to kill me. I said, please, I do not want to wake up. This is actually May 27th. I said, I do not want to wake up tomorrow. I was taking sleeping pills. I was taking other types of pills. I was drinking tequila. I just didn't want to wake up. I can't beat this beast. This thing has control over me. I can't do it. When I woke up May 28th and I mean, my eyes opened, I just sat there in complete stun. Like, if I'm here and I'm alive, I'm meant to have a great life, because I begged for death, and I begged for death many times. Um, I had I was shocked that I was still alive, and so I wake up and I was miserable. I had the worst shakes. I think for a month I was hallucinating. There was days where I'd be hot and cold all within a couple of seconds. My eyes were twitching, my hands were shaking, and I refused to go back to the ER, Jen. I just refused, because every time I went to the ER, there was three total times I went to the ER. They made me feel better. They gave me everything I needed, and I felt good. I felt so good, I'd go out and drink again. And so this time I said, no, I'm going to sit here and feel every ounce of pain. I'm going to feel everything that's coming my way. And I did. And it was the most miserable, disgusting. I'm not going to get into the details of detox, but it's someone that's a binge drinker and they've gone through detox, hug them. They have gone through some disgusting things, and your body just repels everything. Um, I was able to get through the detox. I didn't go get medication. I took no prescription drugs to get through the detox. I called my mom and told her I was sober for about 30 days. She got very angry at me. She said, Paul, alcohol is the only drug you can die from. The only drug you can die from with withdrawals. The only one. Withdrawals can kill you when it comes to alcohol. And I said, Mom, I had no choice. I said, every time I went and they gave me medication, I felt good, you know? So that pain, that hell I went through for literally 30 days and longer. It wasn't just, but the first 30 days were just horrific. I'll never drink again. You know, that pain was
How many
so,
days sober are you?
huh?
How many days sober are you?
Oh, geez, I think 4,295, something like that. It'll be 12 years this May,
Yes.
May 28th.
And
Yeah.
I want to just bring clarity as you continue this, that you just talked about building a $400,000 income business, and then you talk about revealing yourself, and then now you're going through this sober journey. You were still building a business through all of this, correct?
Yeah. I mean, around 2010, um, to be honest, it was going backwards. The time 2012 hit, we were full speed backwards. I was still showing up and doing some things, not much, but everything I had built, I was destroying. And, Jen, again, you don't just destroy it in one day. Everyone thinks it's this one big event to success, this one big event to failure, this one big event to whatever. And it's not. It was just little by little, I was destroying it. It's like, gaining weight. Man, I got on the scale this morning. I shouldn't have had that pizza. Now I'm 55 pounds overweight. It wasn't the one pizza, it was the pizza after pizza after pizza after pizza. So yeah, it we were still building, and the money was still coming in a little bit, but the world was falling apart, and I was hiding it pretty good from the people around me. Tamara knew. She knew that things were not good financially. She knew that we were going backwards, and it was confusing to her because we went up. We were making good money. But yeah. So once once I got rid of that dysfunction, and once I started healing, which takes time, um, the growth was automatic. The growth just started happening. And I just thank God. I would have never met someone. You would have never have joined my team back in my drinking days. So many great people with great relationships would have never joined me. And I feel bad for the ones that were part of me. They're still my friends to the day. Thank God. I hung out with one yesterday. It's man, it's funny. I think, Jen, people say logically on January 1st, these are the goals I'm going to hit. And it's all logical and it feels good. And they write it down, and there's nothing logical about it. There's nothing logical. I didn't wake up May 28th and say, you know what? I've been drinking too much and it's hurting me. So I'm going to decide that I'm going to quit drinking. There's nothing logical about it. I don't think there's anything logical in building a great business. You being a single mother, that's not logical. Like, you know what? I'm going to be a great single mother. No, there's days where you cry yourself to sleep saying, God, please tell me I'm doing a great job by these beautiful kids I have. Right. And it's the same in life, and everything. So there was nothing logical about it, because people will ask me, Jen, so what was the one thing that made you quit drinking? Death was a good one.
There's so many things, because you've rebuilt in so many different ways. And even the fact that your sobriety journey, you completely rewrote your life. Like, you rebuilt, and like you just said, you didn't go in and decide, okay, which little formula am I going to put together to have success? Because you also proved you could be a binge drinker and you could build a massively successful business. But what I'm so inspired by your story is the fact that you did finally look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, my chest cavity is open and this has been exposed. And if I'm going to be gut level honest about my life right now, I cannot try to heal from cancer with a tumor inside of me. And your tumor was alcoholism. And to just say, I cannot build, and you, like you just said, it may not be this like logistical, it's more like hindsight's 2020, right? We can look back on our life and say, yes, finally, one more thing was a wake-up call. And I can say that in my own life, right? It wasn't like one thing. It was like finally this wake-up call of I'm looking myself in the mirror and I don't know who I am. And when I sure as heck am not leaving legacy, a full-on legacy, because you and I are both really good mask wearers. But what you can't do is pretend when you lay your head on your pillow at night. That's a you on you conversation. And that to me is when things start to change, when it's not about what we're posting on social, what we're doing, the leaderboards that you're hitting, all the things for the outside. It's when you put your head on your pillow, you're like, am I living a life of authenticity that I'm actually proud of? And you have to take care of the crap of your life that you may not want to take care of. And so everybody's crap looks different. Everybody's hard things look different. But what I want to like highlight and spotlight is the fact that it may not be addiction, right? It may not be, a trauma with my dad, or, failed relationships or things like that. Everybody's story looks different. And it's something that Paul said that I will never forget. Everybody has a story. And knowing that, but also knowing that you're created for excellence, and that the parts of your story that bring shame and pain don't have to be a part of your future. And so I'd love to hear. So after you go through the journey of sobriety, like what did you pick back up? Did you get you stay in the same business? What changed? What did that transition look like?
So I stayed in the same business, and I had something to prove to myself. I wanted to buy some time back for my family, for my wife, and I noticed a lot of things came easier. Travel wasn't near as hard on my body as I thought it was, because I wasn't drinking. I wasn't completely destroying myself. So I just said, you know what? I got to prove this to myself. I got to do something great. And so we put our heads down. Pastor Tim Goad became a huge part of my life, still is today. I talk to him daily. And I just started bouncing ideas off of him. And then my creative side came back, Jen. So much of me came back. This dreaming came back. This overwhelming feeling of, oh my gosh, I can tackle the world came back. The people I can meet, and a lot of the challenge of my alcoholism was really self-image, self-worth. I would walk into a room and I automatically thought everybody in the room was better than me. And I did that all the way up to age 42, And I walk into a room and people would never think of that of me, Jen. People are like, oh, but you're always so happy. And you even back before, But I would walk into a room, Jen, and I would say, his life's better than mine. His marriage is better than mine. His finances are better than mine. Her life is better than mine. Her finances are better than mine. And everybody was better than me. And then all of a sudden, I quit drinking. I get rid of this horrible addiction. And I get Tim Goat in my life, talking to me constantly, telling me that I'm meant for greatness. My mom's so proud of me. She's telling me I'm meant for greatness. And a lot of people around me. I don't want to leave anybody out, but there's a lot of people around me. And so I just started just natural high of like, let's go take over the world. Now, it came with challenges. You don't just say, hey, I'm going to quit drinking today and everything's going to be great. You don't just decide, hey, today I'm going to build a business so everything's going to be great. Today I'm going to get into a relationship. No, man, I jacked up a lot of stuff. And I didn't pay those guys that require you to pay them every year, April 15th. And I don't like mentioning their names, especially on a recording, but I didn't pay them for several years. Well, they came back to me. And when they come back and say they want their money, they don't play around, they want their money, they seized everything, they took our house, they took everything from us. So here I am, Jen, sober. And now I'm losing my home. I'm like, dear Lord, what do I got to do? Looking back now, Jen, I was being tested. Are you really ready to be sober? Can you handle this? And so I handled that situation with so much grace. Nobody knew that we lost our home, Jen. Nobody. One person found out. They found it on the internet. And then, of course, they started posting Paul Roberts, another one bites the dust, all this garbage and talking bad about me. That just fueled me, by the way. That just fired me up. I was like, watch me. But so challenges happen after you get rid of something, but you're able to handle them, right? And so Jen, we just took off, and Tamara, was so excited, and she actually, if you look at pictures prior to that date, she looks younger now because she's no longer worried about me. She's no longer having to take care of me. So she got younger. I feel like I definitely got younger. I lost, I can't even count the weight. I was 345 at one point. I'm 275. So whatever that is. I got back into running again. I love my ice plunges. I've been doing ice plunges before they got popular. I love my ice plunges up there. It's an addiction all in itself, like Jen said. And I just started meeting so many great people. So many great people started coming into my life once I got rid of the trash. Now, like Jen says, it's not just alcohol. There's other things. There's other diminishing habits that you're doing that are destroying you, that aren't allowing someone great like Jen to come into your life. And you're on your hands and knees saying, God, please give me something. But the problem is you've got habits around you that are repelling great people like Jen. And so what happened was, when I got rid of that ugliness, I started attracting greatness, like people way better than me, way stronger than me, way better than anything than me. And it didn't get easier, but boy, did it get more joyful, right? And so we took off in 2020. Before we met you, Integrity Marketing came to Tamara and I and said, we'd like to buy your company. And I got to tell you, we were driving to the headquarters, and Tamara and I, and we were like, this is weird. It just seems like yesterday that life was falling apart, right? And here we are going to go talk to this incredible man, Brian, and he wants to buy our company. How did this happen? So we go there and we sit with him, and Jenna, and I don't know how much of that story you want me to tell, but there's some funny parts of that story that are just absolutely hilarious. If we have time, I'll tell it later. But so he makes us an offer, and we're like, okay, yeah, that sounds really cool, sure. And we're driving home in complete silence. And we're like, did that just happen? Did that just happen? And it did, right? And oh my gosh, you want to talk about life changing. I mean, it changed the trajectory of my life forever. It changed my life in the trajectory of being able to help. I want to help so many people get rid of addictions. It's not just alcohol. I've told you before, Jen, there's things that people are addicted to that aren't as, like mine, you can see it, alcohol, or heroin or cocaine or cigarettes. You can see, you understand this.
Right.
But people are actually addicted to quitting. I'm not kidding. They're actually addicted to giving up. They're addicted to throwing in the towel. They have addictions that might be more devastating than alcohol, right? And so I'm on a mission right now, Jen, as you know, and I'm building a real estate company now. But my mission is to help people I want to, I know the majority of people walk into a room and they automatically assume everybody in that room is better than them.
Mm.
I want to help change that, man. Golly, I want to help change that. I want you to live free because that's freedom. You know,
Totally.
my hashtag is always freedom, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm free from alcohol. But there's some things you got to get free from too. There's some freedom out there, and that's my goal. And we're working with new home buyers, Jen, just because those are the people that no one really wants to work with because their homes aren't that expensive, and you got to help them with their credit score. You got to help them with this, and the heck with the credit score, the heck with all that. Help them with their self-image. Credit score will take care of itself. Help them with their self-worth. The bank account will take care of itself. And I know that's a task, and most real estate agents can't take that on. I can because Brian blessed me with integrity, so I can do that now.
Right.
And I'm fired up about it.
Okay, so there's so much, but I want you to break down. I love that when you describe it as people are addicted to quitting, and you said that so many people are addicted to quitting. Kind of break that down. What does it look like to be addicted? How would you identify someone who's addicted to quitting? Or if somebody's listening, they'd be like, I don't know that I understand that. Like, how would that, how would that describe me? Or to give some more details to that.
The number one thing to look at is when you tell people you're going to quit doing something, you're not going to do this anymore. What do they say to you? Chances are they're like, oh, you know what? You gave it your best. This wasn't for you. Da, 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 da. Okay. Those are the people you need to get out of your life. But there's people in your life that are allowing that to be okay. I'm begging you to hang out with someone like me that's got a childlike faith. Hang out with someone like Jen that's got a childlike faith. Hang out with people that are like, hey, you got this. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. It's meant to be hard. It's meant to be a challenge. That's what's going to define your character and make you great. So the first thing really, Jen, is who are you hanging out with? You know, every time you throw in the towel, is everybody, yeah, you're so good. No, those are not the right people to hang out with at all, right? You need to hang out with people that when times are tough, they're saying it's okay. It was meant to be. It's meant to be this way. You were headed here
for you, not to you.
Say that again. That's big.
Life happens for you, not to you. That's Tony Robbins. That's way great. But it'll change your life. That attitude will absolutely change your life.
Yeah. So that's number one. Number two is, what I've noticed with people that always get really close and quit, or don't even get close and quit, whatever it is, they seem to have all the answers to life. And so you need to ask yourself in every conversation you're in, were you listening more or talking more? If you're talking, you're just regurgitating all the stuff you already know. You know that. When you're listening, you're taking in stuff you don't know. And listening, and that's the challenge. People will say to me, I'll say, one of my favorite books is Napoleon Hill's, Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, I read that book. Like once, like I've read it 100 times. And every time I've read it, I swear to you, someone's changing the words. It's different, right? like reading Proverbs every 30 days. You read it again the next 30 days. Who's messing with my Bible? Someone's changing it around because I'm hearing different things and seeing different things, right? And that's what listening's all about. I got to listen to my mentor in the real estate business yesterday, Jen, and I've been listening to him now for 6 months talk about the opportunity. And each time I just sit there in complete silence and listen. And every time I pick up something new. So ask yourself, are you talking more and telling everybody what's going on? Like, notice what Jen said. We wear a good mask. What she means by that is we don't tell everybody all the garbage going on because we need to listen and catch things. We need to find something's about to hit us on that day. And so we shut up and we learn and we take things in. And so you got to ask yourself, when I'm around people that are doing better than me, am I constantly talking? Am I constantly reliving my story? Yes, ma'am.
Right. Which what I think is so powerful. I think it connects back to what your other statement was about self-worth. I think because I know in my own life, when I was struggling with self-worth, it was all about projecting that I wasn't struggling with self-worth. Right. And it all is this like, pretend like everything is fine. Pretend like you know it all. And the more you grow, the more you learn, the more you're around wise people, you learn the smartest person in the room isn't the one who talks the most.
Yeah.
And that's where I had to look at my own self, because what I had in my mind, right, that the person speaking the most has the most value to add. But what I was missing out on was all the value that I needed in my life versus the, because, and again, when you're so worried, oh, let me say this other statement. Something Jen Gottlieb said, I think is super powerful. It says, when you go into a room, be the most interested person in the room, not the most interesting.
Ooh.
And I thought that was so good. And for me, in all these business networking meetings, so it's a whole self-worth thing. I get it. Every time I walked in there last summer, I'm like, which one of these doesn't belong? And now I can walk into a room and I feel like I belong because I've shown up consistently for 8 months and I've built these relationships and I've surrounded myself with people like you who kept my mind in the focus stance of it's day by day. It is one foot in front of the other. This is not an overnight change. When you are rebuilding your life, it is not going to be this smooth upwards, right? You still got to expect the roller coasters, but you just don't get off the roller coaster. And that's what was so, so powerful. So I think it's so huge just to bring that all together, that so for so many people, the reason you're talking so much is because you're scared to listen. Because something in your mind makes you think that if you're not talking, that you don't belong in the room. Oh. And my thing is, get in the rooms of people that are above you and just soak it up, because success leaves so many clues. And I'm not just talking about financial, although can we get a witness? It's okay to be financially successful, but mental, spiritual, physical, financial, all of the areas. Just get in the right rooms and be quiet so you can soak in what everyone's saying. So I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the first two signs. And then, lastly, have you achieved something where you've earned the respect of the people you respect? If you haven't, then you're addicted to quitting. When I start something, I don't just, let's see how it goes. I expect a lot from myself, because my mom expected a lot from herself. But B, the people I'm performing for, I'm performing for Daniel right now. I want his respect. He's crazy successful. He's crazy humble. He loves his wife. He loves his kids. He's an incredible man. So I want to earn his respect. So I can't quit till I get that, right? So ask yourself, is there anybody around you to where you've earned their respect? They've sent you that text that just went, oh my God, my heart. I got one. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read this, but I got one. My father's not been part of my life, Jen. You know this. He's been in and out for many years. We've gone 15 years without saying hello to each other or talking to each other. He sent me a text the other day, and he says, over my 12 years, he's also a recovered alcoholic. He said, over my 12 years in Atlanta, going to 3 to 5 A meetings a week, hearing everyone's recovery story, without exception, your journey in sobriety is one of the most impressive I've ever heard. Are you getting texts like that? Are you getting not alcohol, but are you getting texts where I knew you could do it. I knew it was in you. I get texts like that from Jen, and I'll tell her, I said, dang it, you got me crying. Stop it. I got a text from a buddy of mine yesterday. Are you receiving, or are you receiving, it's okay? If they're starting off that way, chances are you're addicted to not finishing or quitting. Right. And you're meant to. So pick something. And Jen, I've always told people, let's start small, please. Quit coming up with all these great ideas. I'm going to be a pilot. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Can we, how about we just fly on a plane?
Yeah. Step one, exactly. No,
let's do something small and achieve it and feel really great about it, right? It's okay to have those big goals. I have a very big goal of qualifying for the Boston Marathon. It's a big goal. I got to knock a lot of time off, but I can't keep thinking about that. What I have to do is think about my next race and see if I can knock off 5 minutes. Still, Jen, not near close enough to qualify for the Boston.
Right.
but I got to qualify. I got to hit that one thing. So start with that. And again, more important than all that, find people in your life that believe in a childlike faith and hang around them all the time. I don't care what business. People are always, well, I'll join your business if it's the right platform. Can I say something? Throw the platform out.
Yeah.
You need to be hanging around people that got a childlike faith. And if they have the right platform, great.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to be hanging around people that got a childlike faith above everything. Like they will believe in you. Tim Goad was believing me, by the way, when I was drinking and losing homes. In fact, I'd go to Orlando, and he was smart. He knew financially, I didn't tell nobody. Those guys came and took everything, but he knew, and he would ask us to stay at his house. I mean, he knew. And so you need people like that in your life, And so, but there's so many other addictions too, outside of just quitting. Blaming. We could spend 6 years on this one.
100. Yeah. This, and first of all, this is definitely just podcast A. We will definitely be back on here. Oh yeah. I mean, that's the whole mentality is giving the microphone of your life to somebody else, right? Whether it is quitting or whether it is blaming or whether it's excuses or whether it's anything that we allow us to keep from getting where we're capable of going, then that's when we completely give the authority of our life over to somebody that never deserved the authority. And I want to point out that you were a huge proponent in helping me shift my mind from thinking that I had only made $18,000 a year before I ever was introduced to insurance. Like my value monetarily was I work for free, right? In order for me to do what I love, I have to just work for free. Like there's no way I can expect better for me and my kids or anything, because that was just the blinders of experience that I had in my own life. And then even further than that is the blinders of the people that I had in my life. And that's why what you're saying, I am proof of the fact when you have voices in your mind that I mean, y'all, I listened for 2 years to someone say, just don't give up. Like you're going to fail. And that's the power of not having people be like, it's going to be easy, right? It's going to be just fine. No, guess what? You're going to fail. And guess what? You're going to be okay, because you're going to get back up. You're going to learn something from the failure, and you're going to just keep moving forward. And that's where everything changes. And you introduced me to some of the most powerful people. Hal Rosen, I never got to meet him face to face. And he was such a huge mentor to your life. And I will never forget the day I am in a hotel room and I'm speaking on a Zoom, and he sends me a text and says, you're going to be the next millionaire in this business. I'm like, you don't even know me. But here's the thing, that could come from millions of sources. But the reason it meant so much is because, first of all, I knew he meant a lot to you, and I have utmost respect for you, and not just of what you've achieved, but of the character and the integrity and the person that you are. And so it is an honor to align with leaders like you, because listen, y'all, if you're looking for success, just go scroll YouTube. You can find people with a lot of money. But one thing I've learned in the past 3 years, that aligning with the right types of leaders will absolutely make or break your life. Can you get out on your own? Yeah, but why? Why do that? Why not align with people who align with not just who you want to be, but align with your core character? My core values are kindness, empathy, and excellence. And that is Paul Roberts. And he's introduced me to so many different leaders that all think the same, in that just keep going. I think it's so funny, Paul, that you went from insurance and now you're building in real estate. Like if there is anything in the world that, the success rate is like this, right? Because everybody wants to go get their license. Everybody wants to sell it. It looks so glamorous and so easy, but it's one more career choice where 3% make it. Yeah. And when I say that, then it's, are you the 3%, or did I just scare you away? You're like, 97% of people fail. Me and Paul are the crazy ones. We're like, so you're telling me there's a chance, like 3% of people can do it. Then let's go find this 3% and let's learn what they're doing. But why real estate? Why did that become the next jump in your journey?
Real quick, today's Hal's birthday. So if anybody that's watching this knows Ellen Rosen, send her a text, tell her you love her and you're thinking about her today. Thank you for saying that about how that touches my heart. Because you've heard me say for 3 years now, don't follow me for the cars I drive, the money I make, the house I live in. Don't follow me for any of that. Follow me for the way I treat people. And if I treat people great, then follow me. And that defines you, Jen. You treat people great. And that's just, and Hal treated people great. Golly, he treated people great. But why real estate? I've always had a passion for it. When I was 25 years old, I bought my first home. My grandfather instilled in me from a very young age, listen, own real estate. Don't be stupid. And I was scared at 25. I didn't know what I was doing, and bought my first home. And actually, I sold that first home. I fired my real estate agent, Jim. She was lazy. And now I know why 97% quit, because they should. And she didn't want to do this. She didn't want to do that. And so I got rid of her. And then I flyered the whole neighborhood myself. I did open houses myself. I didn't know what I was going to do when I got an offer. Let's be real. Contract. Give me some money. And I've lived my life that way. Like, don't worry about the details. Just go. So it's always been a passion. It's something I definitely want to prove to myself. This is another thing, hey, I was in that business for 20 years. I was probably in it for too long. I think 10 years, you probably should move to something else or do something else. Because you just get to this point where you know everything, and it's like, you know what, just it's time to move. I mean, you know everything. That's a horrible thing to say, but it doesn't challenge you, right? And so I wanted something that was going to challenge me. I met this incredible man that walked into my old office, and he was going to be the realtor on it. And him and I got to talking, and he says I could change lives if I came over to his business. And I said, I'm in. And so I love everything about it. And I love the people I've met so far. I'm in another situation where I can use residual income. I've been doing residual income for 20 years now. Now I get to teach a bunch of realtors about residual income. They just don't get it. Most of them don't. It's the best thing in the world. You know that. Yeah. I've said this for so many years. Listen, top producers, you're going to wear out. Top real estate agents, top insurance people, you're going to wear out. You're going to get burnt out. There's going to be a day where it's like, I don't want to go into another house. I don't want to do this again. You're going to burn out. When you burn out, does income still come in? And that's where I come in. That's where I want to teach you. I want the income to still come in that day you get burnt out. And you are going to get burnt out. Right. It's just going to happen. And so real estate has so many avenues, Jen, so many different ways. I want to teach people how to buy homes. So with me wanting to work with the first time home buyers, I want to be able to let me use my kid, for example, Randy. I'm working with Randy and Addison. They're about to buy their first home. And I'm letting them know, hey, listen, do me a favor. This is just your first home. Don't go for it's got to be in this, it's got to be that, it's got to be this. Just this is your first investment property in your portfolio. We are going to begin to build your investment portfolio. Okay, so you might only be in this house for 2 years. Calm down, because so many first-time home buyers, Jen, it's got to be in a cul-de-sac. It's got to have this. It's got to have that. You're not there yet. You ain't got the money to do that. But instead of renting, let's get you over here to where it becomes your first property. And I think God has given me a gift to be able to share that with people to where they understand it, to where when they're going into their first home like I did, they're not just looking for everything to be perfect. Because I'm telling you, I mean, this home I'm in now, this is our fourth home. It ain't perfect still. It's gorgeous. It's the most beautiful home I've ever lived in. There's too many rooms in it. I mean, you've seen the pool. It's freaking amazing. But it still isn't everything, right? So don't put this isn't this. So I think I have that gift, if you will, to be able to talk to home buyers and say, listen, and it's not just young couples. It's mothers that just got divorced, that now they're going to go off and buy their first home, right? And they're scared. And I have a passion for helping single mothers. I was raised by an incredible single mother. Right. And so I want to help, that as well. So, I mean, there's just so much passion I can do inside of real estate. And at the same time, I get to build a team. And if I'm building a team and if I'm bringing in people and I'm going to bring in 100 people wide, I'm going to find some alcoholics. I'm going to find some people that got some addictions. I'm going to find some people that, quite frankly, God put you in my life for a reason. And whether it's, quitting, whether it's, stopping right before gold, whatever it is,
Yep.
if I hire this many people to come and join my family, there's going to be some challenges, and I'm looking forward to those challenges and helping people in every way I can. So it's just another avenue that I'm just going to absolutely have a passion for. I'm 54 now. I'm still pretty young.
Every time to restart. I mean, you got plenty of chapters left in that book. So,
and I'm scared, and you know that, Jen. And that's another thing too, is you make sure the people you hang out with, you can rely on them too. I've texted Jen and said, "Hey, I'm scared to death.
Yep.
You've helped me with my branding."
Mm-hmm.
There's something to learn from so many people. I think a lot of us think, well, we got to go to this, Tony Robbins seminar, which is great. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But there's people that God has put right around you that are so close. And Jen, you're one of those where I can just say, "Hey, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm scared to death." And that fear, though, that's what makes you grow. It's fun.
I'm telling you, you almost get like addicted to fear, because as soon as you know that you're comfortable, you're like, hold on, this is boring. Like you just said, about 10 years in, you're like, I need a big change. Well, first of all, you guys now have a better idea of why I jumped into insurance. When you got a guy like Paul leading a team, it's just different, and it's so different, and it's affected who I am as a mom. It's affected who I am as a leader. It's affected who I am as an agency builder. Again, if it were not for you, I would not be in this industry. And what I love, and I want to just point out, is the fact that I kind of knew what your answer would be, I thought, and I was mostly right. And it was another relationship that you got connected with. And when you saw a new way to add value with the passion you already have inside of you, you took who you are as Paul Roberts. You're like, where can Paul Roberts and all of Paul Roberts add value with new people, a new team, a new direction, a new place? But what's so great is that you took all that passion, right? You used to have a passion for real estate. It wasn't that far off as far as industry, but it is still completely brand new from what you've ever done before. But you get to bring all of that, and that's what I love. And I want to send people to you that question me. They're like, why do you do a podcast in insurance? I don't see the correlation. And I'm like, okay, I don't I am who I am, right? You are who you are. You're going to add value to anybody who's going to listen long enough and stop talking long enough to be so edified, so encouraged, and so empowered by your leadership. And it's not some boisterous, anything, right? It's not all the things I expected to come into somebody's office who's a multi-millionaire in the insurance industry. Paul, you lead with a genuine heart. You lead with genuine care, and you give a sense of ease to anyone just getting started. Nobody has to come pretentiously to you in order to have your time to that's what I love watching you build and watching you get rebuild, is you surrounded yourself with a bunch of island of misfit toys of a bunch of people who are just let's do this thing. Let's figure it out. We're not coming in with a bunch of egos. It's a bunch of people who want something so much bigger, and you see past where they are, and that's a gift. And so I want to speak that into you and over you and say thank you for seeing, because almost a year ago, I had to step out of a situation, and I heard from you, Jen, just don't give up. This industry needs people like you, and I believe in you. And I held that with an open hand, saying, okay, God, I need you to direct these next steps. But you guys, we have to have people in our lives that know us, that know the pain, and know ultimately who we are. And it's not what we bring to you. It's not that value we add to you. It's what somebody who sees the bigger picture of our lives. And when you find those people, you better hold on tight. And it all comes down to who you attract, and the life you're going to attract the right people in your life. And so, Paul, before we close, I have some questions for you, but I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you for leading with authenticity, and thank you for believing and a girl who had a bumbled up story, who just had childlike faith and, just showed up and said, all right, teach me all the things. Here I go getting licensed. And never thought I'd do that. Just like I said, I'd never be a van mom. And then I had 4 kids, but I'm an SUV mom now. That was a short lived thing. But, all the things that we say we'll never do. I would encourage anybody, just time out on all the things that you're throwing at God of what you're going to say no to, and spend more time being open and available to the things that align with who you are, because they may come in packages that you never expected them to come into. And that was definitely true for my life. But Paul, you did allude to your mom, and I wanted to touch on that. So I love that you, of course, naturally already talked so much about her. There's a lot of single moms out here, and I want you to be encouraged now by looking at Paul and listening to him give honor to his mom, who did not stop betting on herself, who just kept going and gave such a beautiful picture of the mess and the pain, but the tenacity and the resilience that it takes to just not give up on yourself. And so kudos to your mom, who hopefully one day I will get to meet and give her a big hug and thank her for the influence that she was in your life. But I wanted to make sure I made that connection. So high five to single moms. Like this is why we just keep showing up. So many days that I can imagine how your mom feels looking at you and saying, okay, it was worth it. And so many days, like I'm on Zoom until like 11 o'clock at night, and my kids are watching me rebuild from the ashes. And I just hope that one day, that when they, in their life, that they know, like, hey, guess what? Mom did. If mom can do it, I can do it. And it makes it all worth it. And so I know your mom looks at you and says, the multiple jobs, the late nights, the early mornings, it's just worth it. So thank you, Paul. Thank you for who you are and for the example that you are. And I'm so excited for your new journey. I'm so excited to watch you crush it. I'm so excited to continue learning from you as you just keep going. But all right, taking a time out from the emotions. I do want us to close this out. I said 45 minutes, but I was like, in my mind, I was like, as long as it's an hour, it'll be good. Because I so wanted to hear your story. Take us back to Paul, younger years. What did you want to be when you grew up?
It's funny you asked that, because Pastor Goad has me working on a book right now of my life, and it started way back when I was a kid, and that kind of freaked me out. Man, my young years, I was a dreamer, dude, just like I am today. There was the middle part that I messed up, but I was a dreamer. I just believed anything was possible. I don't know if I ever landed on, hey, this is what I want to be, like I want to be a lawyer, I want to be this, I want to be that. I never really landed on anything like that, but I think deep down I always had a passion to be a psychologist. I think maybe my mom, I mean, she always wanted me to go to college and be a psychologist. I kind of let her down on that one, but she said I paid her back, because she goes, I think you kind of are right now.
For sure. I was going to say, you definitely are. You may not have the letters next to your name for all the education, but as far as impact, and
yeah,
definitely.
I know I always wanted to be a leader for my mother and my sister, head of household maybe. Yeah. So maybe that's why it was so strong later in years coming to my family life with Tamara and the girls, because I wanted to be, head of household is the right word, but I wanted to be a provider, not just financially, just want them to know they could count on me, kind of the way I count on my mom. Yeah. So I mean, those are the big ones,
you go ahead.
Huh?
No, I was just going to say, and just knowing you, and you shared your story about you being in high school, like, it's not like you were top of your class with big dreams and wanting to go. Like you were the other end of that spectrum. But I think what's so cool about that is that it's not based on our significance, and our worth is not based on our test grades or our bank account or anything like that. Like, what it all boiled down to was you had a heart to know that you wanted to impact people, you wanted to lead people, and therefore you wanted to live a life where other people would lead and would follow, and you were worthy of that calling. And so I just think that's powerful because you were a dreamer before you had ever achieved. And I think that's important. If you have if somebody listening has a dream inside of you, and it may sound crazy to everybody else, that's when you know you're starting to get there. But that's when you know. So
Yeah. I mean, I think part of that dream though, because I would dream so much. I was, like you said, I was horrible in school, barely graduated. Unfortunately, there was drugs and some trouble in there too. But um, you know, but I fulfilled that. Wanting to be a provider. My grandmother died about 12 years ago, um, and my grandfather came to me and asked me to do the funeral. He goes, I don't want someone speaking about her life that doesn't know her. I want you speaking about it. So I was like, whoa, okay. Um, Last year, I got to do my grandfather's funeral. He passed away. And those are two huge, because for me, Jen, walking away from both those funerals, I said, wow, I did what I set out to do. I wanted to be a provider for this family. And it wasn't just my immediate family, my mom or my wife and my kids. It was for the whole family, the patriarch. There wasn't much of a patriarch because, but to be there and to be there on those two special days. And then last year, my niece calls me up and says, "Hey, will you perform my wedding?" Wow. Those are three moments in my life that, I'm not I hate to rank, sobriety, having kids, being married. You hate to rank anything, but those are three big ones. Those are three, I could die now and say I did a good job. I got asked to do some very, very tough situations for the family. No one else wanted to do that. And God put me in a place to do that for my family, and so those are big. Those are up there. And again, being someone who, got into trouble, barely graduated high school, and being able to be there for your family, that's just, oof, that's the world to me. I remember my niece asked me, "Hey, will you perform our wedding?" And I was like taken back. Well, for starters, they both called me, and I thought, "Uh-oh, what happened to my mom? I mean, what happened to my sister? Something's happened to my sister, And she said, "Hey, we just want to ask you a question." I was like, "What's that?" And they said, "We want you to officiate our wedding." And I'm in tears, but I'm trying to hold it together, Jen. I'm trying to be cool about the situation because they're asking me to do something. If I start boohooing now, they're going to take the job away from me. And so I was like, "Yes." I said, I would be honored. I said, "Well, what's making y'all pick me?" And Abigail is her name. And she said, "Well, I watched you do grandma's funeral and grandpa's funeral, and you did such a great job." I said, "Yeah, but this is tougher. I mean, they hate to be crass here, but they were dead. I couldn't really." This is your wedding. This is the biggest day of your life.
People record this on video. People will watch this again.
This is big. So that was so touching. So touching. And for my mom to be there and to earn her respect, those are big things. I don't think a bank account could ever do that to you, Jim.
I totally agree. That's so cool. Other than your mom, who's the most influential person in your life?
Oh, without a doubt, Pastor Goad. Man, he frustrates me to death because he'll tell me that I need to do this and it's way bigger than I wanted to do it. I'm like, bro, let me just chill here at 85 miles an hour, man. What you want me to go 95 for? And I'll hang up with him sometimes, Jen. I'm like, "No, man, I'm cool with 85. I'm good." And then somehow 95 just pops into my life and it just becomes part of me. And I call him up and say, "Man, you were right." So he's been a massive influence in my life. I don't have a lot of male role models, my mom was it, and then my grandmother, and then of course Tamara's a massive role model in my life. But when it comes to men, it would definitely be Pastor Goad. He's been my rock, man. He's put up with me. He bet on me. See, and probably the reason, Jen, is he was betting on me when I had nothing and I was nothing, and I had nothing to give him whatsoever. You with me? I wasn't doing anything for him. He bet on me then, right? I was a mess. I was still drinking when he was betting on me, which is weird. So definitely him.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so you already said one of your faves, but what's the favorite book ever you read?
The magic of thinking big did something to me when I first started this business.
I did not know that about you.
Yeah.
That's, where is it? I mean, it's right here. That's
Okay.
I have a book club right now that's going through this book, because when I said when I'm starting a mindset book club, there's no book that I've ever read that impacted me like this did. I did not know that about you.
That one, I'm not real good with reading and all that. I'm a reader. I do read, but that one spoke to me. It spoke on my level. Excuse-itis and all the other things. It did something to me. It spoke to my level. I think Pastor Goat speaks to my level, and that's why I, he's able to move me in directions. And that book spoke to me on a level to where it could move me into a great direction. So definitely that book.
That's so cool. I did not know that. Okay, last question. As we wrap up, my tagline for this entire podcast is that your authenticity is your superpower. So I would love for you to take the last 30 seconds and just encourage anyone listening. What does the fact that your authenticity is your superpower, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. I think like right now, especially today, especially on social media, there's this macho bull crap going on, and this drive. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm okay with that. Like you and I are both Goggins fans. I love that. And Goggins is a driver and a hardcore driver. But, at the end of the day, I never taught you sales. I never taught Jen how to sell. I never taught Jen how to overcome objections. Quite frankly, I don't know if I know how to overcome objections. I think I do. I just do it naturally and don't know it. I am who I am. I believed and still do believe in the IUL product. I still believe in the annuity product. I believe in those. Therefore, you just be authentic. You never have to sell a day in your life. When it comes to building this business that I'm in right now in real estate, I just believe in the group I'm with. So I don't have to use all these crazy, deals. Like, me, I'm bad with numbers. And we got this 7-tier system. And I start to explain it, Jen, and it gets ugly. You know that. I mean, it's like, did I just say Niner? Did I do what am I doing up here? And for me, Jen, I looked at it. He showed me how someone made a lot of money. I said, what'd he do? He said he went 100 wide. Done. In the discussion. I'm going 100 wide. I don't need to talk about nothing else.
I don't need it.
There's nothing else to discuss. Well, what happens at level 5? I don't care. They said go 100 wide. It works. So being authentic to me is that's just what I do. And it's not, okay, you're focused on tier 5, but yet you don't even believe in tier 1 yet for you, your self-image, your self-worth. So leading with authenticity is just, if you want people to relate to you, and by the way, Jen, you're so relatable because you lead with authenticity, and you're going to attract such great people in your life. You already are. Oh my gosh, every day you're calling me and saying, hey, this person, that person. I get tears in my eyes, think of all the greatness that's coming into your life. It's because of the authenticity, right? And so, I just lead with that because that's all I know how to do. And it works for me. Yeah. And it does. I don't have to sell, don't ask me how to use a product. I know what it'll do for you. I know I'll change your life, and just be authentic, and life's better that way, and you and I are a lot alike in that so you're saying we got a shot? Okay, cool. Let's do it. But the survival rate's really bad. We're good. We are good.
There is a survival rate. That's all we need to know.
You said survival rate. Jen and I are rolling the dice. We're in, and you need, but I mean, you do need other people in your life too. But, I think first and foremost, you have to have this childlike faith. Yeah, that'll work. Right. So, I guess with authenticity, it's just being real, treat people like you want to be treated. When I was down and out and beaten up, I want to help those people. I know what it felt like. What frustrates me, and this isn't part of the deal, but it just hit me, is what frustrates me when people get successful, Jen, they change the narrative of what it took to get there, and they start writing books, and it's a lie. No, you're on your knees crying.
Right.
You were desperate. Totally. Quit acting your macho stuff. Shut up. Right. That ain't what. That's not how you did it. You were begging to God, crying. You didn't eat for days. So I mean, sorry, authenticity.
No, and that you're awesome, and you are such an example of that, and it's honestly what gave me the courage. I started a podcast before I reached success, right? But I'm like, let's just take the journey. So As we land the plane, I just want to thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing this time. I cannot wait to hear the feedback. Already comments scrolling in from YouTube. So thank you
Oh,
so much for just being you and for leading the way and for never giving up on yourself and for taking the courage to look at yourself in the mirror and shift your whole world, because your impact is only getting started. And so I am so thankful that I'm a part of the people that were a part of your journey. It makes a season of my journey feel almost worth it because I'm so thankful for the people that I met along the way and what I learned along the way. And thank you, thank you, thank you. So, you guys, as we close out, please make sure you guys go follow Paul. Paul, would you let people know where to find you, where you are on social media, where they can go and follow you
yeah,
at?
social media. I'm on Paul Dallas Roberts at Facebook and Instagram. My page on Facebook is MVP Team, most valuable player, most valuable partner, mission, vision.
All the things.
Uh,
Love it. So you guys go follow him. I'm telling you, he will inspire you. You may even start running. You may even jump into a cold plunge, but you definitely will start believing in yourself and realize that your life is too short not to bet on yourself. So you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us for episode 17. And as always, I love you. That may sound so super weird because I may not know you yet, but I will always choose to love you because there's millions of people who hate people for no reason. But once I do meet you, I know I will find millions of reasons to love you. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much for hanging out. I will see you next week. You guys be genuine.
Thank you.